Today we're at one of the oldest stations on London Underground.
And it is also one of the busiest.
New season, new jacket. Today we're at King's Cross and Pancras. Welcome to Series 5 of the Hidden London Hangouts. My name's Alex Grundon. Welcome back. A little bit of a break for us, but we are now back fighting fit. We are delighted to be here with a whole new series of great locations. I don't do this on my own. I've got three wonderful folk from the London Transport Museum to guide us through our route and to make us laugh along the way. First of all, Happy New Year 2022. Christopher Nix, you're looking like you just come off the farm.
Hello, it's great to be back, isn't it? We've eaten all the Christmas chocolates. We've unpacked the gifts from our lovely Patreons, and we're ready for a new series. Alex, I've got to say, I've got one last present for you, which I forgot to give you before Christmas. Do you remember when we went to see some tanks at another museum?
Oh yes, I love a tank.
Yeah, well, I forgot to give you this.
Little Willie.
Bottle of Little Willie beer.
Well, oh dear, that's alien to me. City Holloway is in the diary room. How are you?
Hello, yes, I have purchased a chair for my bedroom, and this is from whence I will be doing all of these hangouts. Happy New Year. I'm also sporting the farm look today. I felt like that's kind of the vibe of 2022, don't you think? We're all kind of looking a bit farm chic, no?
I'm liking a bit of Daisy Duke there. However, the class always comes from one location, and that is Laura Hilton Brown's boudoir. Laura, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you guys. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome back. I cannot believe, can any of you believe that it's Series 5, guys? How insane is that?
5 guys.
First time.
Happy days. So today, as you saw from our introduction, we are at King's Cross, St Pancras, station which we all know so well. If you ever left London to go north, probably you'll have left from King's Cross, a beautiful station in itself at ground level, but the secrets that lie underground are off the scale. And today we're going to go exploring. The way we do this is we have a load of videos and some great pictures as well, and a lovely bit of artwork. But before all of that, we have a little bit of a tie-up of the history, thanks to our chief, Chris Nix. So Chris, first of all, just paint us a little picture of how the London Underground station at King's Cross came about, because it was in layers, wasn't it, really?
It's an old one. So as I said at the start, this is one that takes quite a lot of unpacking, and it's part of that original Metropolitan Railway. So 1863, world's first underground railway goes through King's Cross. In 1868, it's modified a little as the city widened lines are brought through there as well. Then we wind forward to 1906 when the Great Northern Piccadilly and Brompton Railway, otherwise known as the Piccadilly line today, joins the station. Year later, City and South London Railway, or the Northern Line as we know it today, the Bank branch comes through and sits underneath it. We wind forward to 1968 when the Victoria Line comes along. 1987, unfortunately, catastrophic fire engulfs the station. And then in 2007, there is a station upgrade, which leaves it looking like it is today.
We have a load of stuff to throw at you in this episode. We're thrilled. Chris, Siddy and I went for a look around this station. Laura, unfortunately, couldn't make it on this occasion, but she's with us today, which is fantastic. And we have lots to show you. First of all, let's go back to a very, very old enamel map that's actually at the Transport Museum depot in Acton. And we get to see a little bit of where we are. Now, Siddy, I'm going to come to you first of all, because I love these maps, and I know you love them too. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, the complexity of King's Cross back in the day. And it's actually only got more complicated as time's gone on.
Yeah, I mean, so what I really like about this is that, first of all, it shows like places of interest nearby, like the cattle market right next to Caledonian Road.
It's not a club, is it?
Well, because one of the things that we always talk about on our York Road virtual tour is the proximity of York Road to a lot of kind of, well, quite frankly, like unpleasant parts of that part of town, meant that York Road was not used that frequently. So it's interesting to see it on this map. I really like that it's got like a box around it like that. That's kind of interesting. And yeah, I mean, then, so the black line is what we now know as the Overground, is it?
It is, yeah, the London Overground. Now, it's interesting because I had a little look at this before. Team, follow me on this. Barnsbury and Caledonian Road, the name has flipped now, so it's Caledonian Road and Barnsbury. Maiden Lane, which is one to the left of it, has shut, and Camden Town on the Overground is now Camden Road. And just looking up there, we've got the Northern Line in pink, which was, I suppose,
South
at the
Kentish
time, the
Town.
going across Euston and Hampstead. South Kentish Town is shut. We also look down at a load of other bits and pieces. The Angel on the City and South London Railway. There's loads to this. Law, your maps are themed. They're pretty, aren't they? We just have seen so much development in maps.
We do, and I like that we talk about how maps are a kind of piece of artwork in their own right as well, and a lot of the viewers agree with that and kind of see all of that loveliness. This map is kind of messing with my head a little bit because of the mashup of the colours, because they're not the same as you would, the colours are now in terms of the pink and the black. I also particularly like the different size of all the lettering, and that some of it is kind of, it looks like a little bit scruffy, doesn't it? It's like some of it has bled and blurred a little bit, and it looks like one of those stampers, which you used to use. So, but I actually really like it. I think it's got a nice kind of ye oldie worldy feel about it.
It's glorious, isn't it? So the Midland Railway with the arrow, that was out of St Pancras. And just in your mind's eye, dear viewer, Great Northern Main Line. Just bear that one in mind, because I've got a question for Chris and Siddy about this a bit later on. Great Northern Main Line. Now, the first of our videos today is going back to the origins of the station, 1863, when the Metropolitan Railway came to King's Cross, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, so that was the first line that came through, the Metropolitan line. It's moved around rather. The station has been reconstructed, and we found ourselves in this video in a part that's been rebuilt and rearranged a few times, but still has some of its older being left.
I love this.
There they come.
I love the fact I get a little welcome. It's great. And I'll tell you the other thing I'm loving, Nixie, as well. New year, same old amazing AG pack, microphone pack. I love it. We're going this way, are we?
Yeah.
Down to
Now,
the net line.
we've come equipped.
Sizzles.
We've got the cameras, we've got Siddy, we've got an Alex, and importantly, we've got torches, wipes, hard hats.
From America. From
Gloves.
America as well.
Yeah.
All the way.
Season 5, baby. You need surgical gloves for that.
You would certainly do.
So this was actually one of our lovely viewers that we have to thank for this.
The lovely Jen from America gave us some wet wipes, because everyone needs wet wipes to clean up tiles. And we got some other gifts as well, didn't we? We can talk about that a bit later on. But we're on the Metropolitan line platforms here and Circle. And this was the first line that came to King's Cross, wasn't it?
It is.
Back in 1863.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal, isn't it?
Well, I think it's time to magically transport into a bit that you wouldn't normally get to see. So we're going to disappear through some doors and find ourselves out on a older bit of the Metropolitan line.
Do you click your heels? Is this how it works?
Yep.
Okay, so as we pop through, we get our first clue about older Metropolitan line. It's the right colour. Some old tiles surviving with the Metropolitan burgundy, maroon. What would you say?
So how old are these tiles then?
Yeah.
Well, these aren't that old.
No,
Okay.
they'd be about the 60s or so.
If you come through here, you've got, these have been overpainted, but they were cream originally. So these are a much later tile. They're not the Edwardian ones that we used to looking at, Victorian.
Yeah. Well, because wait, we can take this off.
We can, can't we?
Hurrah!
The Metropolitan platforms were actually moved further east in 1940 and 41. So they were kind of shuffled along down the Euston Road from where they originally were. So this is part of that, which then later also got resited to a different place where it is now.
So this is the passageway to the platforms, was it?
Well, the whole of this central concourse has been widened.
Yeah.
It's now staff accommodation, but originally there were multiple lines coming through here because, of course, we had city-wide lines and all of the extra railway tracks through here. But now it's staff accommodation.
Yeah.
And the bit that we're going to go and see at the very end is still a little bit of track, so we can get an idea what it was like.
Let's go. So, Sid, apparently we don't need gloves for this bit because this is pristine clean. Do you believe anyone who says that? Really?
It's not pristine clean, but it's not as filthy as some of the other places.
You're
we're taking
daring
it to.
wearing
I
pale
know,
blue, that's all I'm going to say.
forgot
Well,
that.
Alex, there's a bit of a hint as to what we're going to see. Now, the good news is that the rails in here are no longer connected. So
That's
we're all
quite
right
a
to
cool
go
sign,
through.
though, isn't it?
It
I mean,
is.
you know,
But that bit is true up there, the uneven
floor
surface.
surface. Okay,
Right then,
right,
let's
okay.
go through.
Oh, I can hear trains. I can hear trains.
Look at that.
So right down there. So wow. So
Yeah.
right. Okay. So because that's tracks, we're not allowed to light that way, are we?
Well,
Yeah.
you can do it
You-
only
not with-
stably.
That's it. You can't shine that big torch down there.
Can't be
Just
flashing.
So
No flashing,
no
Alex.
flashing. All right. I'll make sure my belt stays done up. So so this was a siding. What was this?
So this, if you look, this here used to be the running tunnel, or like the running space of the Circle and the Hammersmith and City line,
Wow.
right? But then they decided to widen this up. So on the other side here is the westbound, and on the other side of that is the eastbound, and then this has been used for staff accommodation. But this siding was put in place in order. Ooh, look, 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 look.
Down there. Look. Can you
There's an
see?
eastbound coming.
This is so. It's a bit like being an angel, isn't it? With a train coming at you, and then it just
But-
swerves off.
But an S-stock really. Look at that. That's so nice.
You see, I'm having to stay stock still while this happens with the light.
Good work.
That is incredible. So it is a bit like Angel when we were in that Northern Line tunnel, and all of a sudden it just swerves. And it's really interesting because when I've been here before, I've often wondered why, like Euston Square, Great Portland Street, Baker Street, the tracks
You
were
can
together.
actually see them, yeah.
And here it bellies out.
That's
and
it.
that's because of the widening to make King's Cross a more easy to populate station, more capacity.
That's it. But you didn't know, you saw earlier that there was tile on the other side
Yeah.
here. That's because the track would have gone just like at Euston Square and everything. So that would have been the side of the platform. But it's
Yeah.
been widened out now.
The
That
good
is
thing is
incredible.
we have a diagram that can help us with this when
Right.
we're
So
back in the studio.
But so this siding essentially was built in order to ease construction. But I'll let Mr. Christopher Nix explain
Yeah, should
that.
we head on down?
Are we going this way?
Yeah, let's just bring the cameras with us. We just come down onto the.
No, we're
the
not allowed
ramp.
to light this, are we? We're still not allowed to light this.
Yeah,
You
just
can very subtly with like this
yeah.
panel light.
We have to
Right.
light it back that way. That's
Okay.
that's the key thing. So I'm just going to pop over the track, give us our wide.
So how? Oh, there's another one. Look at this. Oh, Sids, get this. It is incredible. So you stand on the track, and effectively, straight down at you would have been a train coming at you, potentially. Oh, this is so incredibly cool. We are so lucky to have this job, aren't we?
Looks almost scary, doesn't it?
It
Looks
really-
like it's coming right at you, and I don't love that.
It's really incredible. Oh, wow, look at that.
That's quite the shot. We're all going to tourist it.
I am keeping deadly still, by the way.
Good work.
Look at that. Two trains. Westbound and eastbound coming towards us.
Wowzers.
Oh,
quite
that's
the
cool.
shot.
Wow,
Nice.
that's crazy.
You can see
That's
it's
really
a reasonable
scary.
incline, isn't it?
It's really scary because when you're stood on this track here, it really looks like that Met Line or Circle or Hammersmith and City is coming right for you.
Absolutely. The
That
good news is
really
we've,
cool.
we've been
This is
down there
so
and
indulgent.
checked.
Isn't it so indulgent for the Hangouts viewers as well? We're standing here on tracks. But the other thing that really strikes me about this is, as always is the size of track. If you think, I mean, I'm not thin by any means, but look,
Oh,
these are the tracks. Look at them. This is huge, isn't it?
yeah.
It is. And of course, don't forget that when this line was
Oh,
originally
look.
built, it was built with dual gauge.
Yeah.
Because it would have been able to take the Great Western Railway broad gauge locomotives
Yeah.
as well as the
course.
standard gauge.
Of course. It's quite funny. You can imagine a great shot with that train coming towards you. You could tie me to the tracks like on those films.
Hail!
Hail! Hail! And while we're here, is it possible to like this bit is at all?
Yeah, so if we use the magic torch, we're clear on trains. Here you go. How about that?
I mean, oh, wow, 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 wow.
So you've got a barrel vaulted ceiling, but a modern one.
Yep.
Oh, that is so cool. I have to say, Series 5 is off to a great start.
It's not bad, but arguably it's the end of the line.
Well, I was going to say my career's at the Buffers.
Got to say, standing with my back to the track feels really ominous, even though I know it's severed.
Okay, so happy?
Oh, very happy. I mean,
Well-
I just can't believe that this is all still here, as we find so many places, don't we? It's all behind a locked door. And suddenly, the reason why the platforms at King's Cross on the Met and Circle are like this is because of that expansion, that central concourse, like London Bridge in its
Yeah.
own way, down on the Northern Line.
King's Cross is a heavily modified station. It's been changed again and again and again from its earliest times through to the modern day. And so it's good news for us because it means there's lots to look at. So that's the earliest bit. The good news is there's plenty more. Let's go off to the Piccadilly line and then the Northern.
Let's do this.
Well, that was fun.
Yes, it was. Do you know, is it just me who wonders whether Chris would actually really suit a hoop earring when he was wearing his hard hat?
Yep, that's just you, Alex.
No, I've wondered it many times too.
Do you know,
Right, okay.
I just saw that. I thought to myself, all he needs to do is say 50 quid for cash. I thought it really would work. What did you think of the barrel vaulted ceiling law? Because, I mean, there's something grand about that space.
You knew that was the bit I was going to pick up on, didn't you? So as I was watching the clip, I was trying to kind of set things in my mind. So if you sprung to me afterwards, I would have lots to
I know
talk
you
about.
well, don't I?
To be honest, yeah, exactly. To be honest, that modern barrel vaulted ceiling was the bit that kind of was my, the wow moment. But what was great about that, guys, and thank you for doing it as well, is that you did like a bit of a timeline orientation, starting to piece those juggle. That's where I'm particularly articulate. Piece the jigsaw puzzle bits together, because I'm still not quite sure about this station and what bits you were in and how it all fitted together. So I love the way that you've kind of presented that so far, because my tiny little mind has started to understand that kind of bigger picture better. But some really lovely bits, and great start. Awesome work.
So nice to play trains as well. And I've got a question for you, Chris, as well. You mentioned it twice now, the city widened lines. What were they, for anyone who doesn't know what they were? And I know this is really probably a very stupid question, but how many tracks went through King's Cross? Was the Metropolitan Railway separate to the city widened lines? I mean, was there like loads of tracks side by side?
Okay, so lots of questions there, but ones which are best satisfied by looking at some diagrams, I think. If you want to see the city widened lines today, some that still survive, go to Moorgate and look at the bay platforms there. They were part of that city widened line.
Oh, like British Rail.
But they were, because remember, the Metropolitan line was carrying freight through it. So having an extra set of lines going through meant that increased the capacity. But let's have a look at these diagrams that we've got here. Now, first up, this one shows a set of railway lines all coming together. And the one that starts off on the left-hand side and curves down to the bottom right-hand side is the Metropolitan line. But what you might notice is that the thing labelled King's Cross Station over on the right-hand bottom is not where we know it today.
No.
Now, I'm sure you know why that is, don't you, Alex?
Well, is that what we used to call the Thameslink station?
Yes.
Well, it suddenly all makes sense.
You see, Siddy alluded to it in the film. She said it had moved. It moved up the road back towards Euston. Now, if you look back up towards that road, towards Euston to the left, can you see it says unused Metropolitan Tunnel there as well? Okay. So you can see that there's some real estate in the area where we know King's Cross Metropolitan line to sit today. You can even see there's a rather nice set of illustrations there on the left-hand side, showing you really unusually that the draftsperson has done these sort of head-on views down the tunnel of the junctions. But that's because we've got these lines going off to the north there. If we just look.
That's so fascinating. But so just in case you're using the railways now, okay, we're not talking about the Metropolitan line. We're actually talking about what effectively is Thameslink.
Mhm.
If you were to go from, say, Kentish Town, and you go through St Pancras International, the Thameslink platform, and then you go through towards Farringdon, there's a disused station there. And that is what was the Metropolitan line station. That is so cool. And that also explains why Thameslink now goes through that station and why the Metropolitan line is just to the side of it, because it was one. That is so cool. Thank you for just explaining all of those rails to me in a way I never understood before. Brilliant.
Hope that would help. Now, the next one here gives you a bit of a bigger view of those city-wide lines. So if we just zoom in.
Looks like an anatomical diagram.
It does. It looks like my blood flow after a night out with Nixie.
So you can see there, you've basically got 4 lines going through there rather than the more usual 2. And even by that point, you can see it says King's Cross Station, brackets in pencil, disused.
Brilliant.
Okay. Now, the other thing which I wanted to show you was this, which I found in our collection. It's a rather nice diagram showing you what the structure of that Metropolitan line station looked like. We've talked about ones like this before, haven't we? Do you remember start of season 3? Remember we were talking about the ones at Lords, at Marlborough Road and Swiss Cottage, where
even Notting Hill Gate.
Yeah, Notting Hill Gate. I was thinking of that one.
Basically a canopy over a cutting.
But can I, something just occurred to me when you were showing us that diagram with the tunnels drawn to the side of that. Imagine, just for a minute, how crazy this would have been for Victorian passengers for the first time. I mean, intercity travel had only really been introduced, 20 years before that? Not even that, 15, 16 years before that. And then suddenly you are literally going underground, traveling on trains through these tunnels. I mean, it must have been absolutely mind-blowing, right?
Not just underground, but under the capital.
Yeah.
It's almost like subterranean exploration wearing your petticoat. It's the funniest thing.
It would have been so ominous, yet exciting, yet terrifying. I don't know, been so noisy and smelly. Like it sometimes when we do stand in those parts of the network, I proper get a sense of like a Baker Street or something. You get a proper sense of like, oh my God, this would have blown people's minds.
But also,
it was just transformative though, because what would have been a crazy hour-and-a-half journey across town, through all those congested, horrible streets, you could actually do in 18 minutes.
I absolutely love it. And it's taken this episode, and I didn't know this before, by the way, about the citywide lines and why that station was where it was. So I've learned something myself. This is not scripted, this stuff. We do this to learn and explore and have fun as we go. But Laura, the thing that we always look to you to is to interpret artwork and design, and look at the beauty of that over canopy and the bridge and everything else. I mean, it's all gone now, but what a beautiful place that must have been for tube travellers.
It is lovely. And I think that the last 3 diagrams that Chris found and has displayed here, so have all been lovely for very different reasons. And I love that everybody takes such different things from each diagram as well. But this is lovely because my brain loves looking how something progresses or develops. So the detail that's added to each layer is really gorgeous. And the diagram before, I think Siddy made a reference to it looking quite anatomical, and I think anatomical. I haven't got my teeth in today, honestly. And yeah, this one. So we've made a reference to this before about how London Transport Museum refers, it's such a lovely phrase, and it always stuck with me from my very first trip around the museum when the head curator at the time was introducing me to the site. And he said that transport, London Transport is very much like the lifeblood of the city. So I've always thought of it like the veins and the organs of the city, pumping people and vehicles around this great city and transporting you above ground and below ground. And then if we go back to the previous diagram, the first thing, I wasn't really looking at the rails, I can't lie, guys. I went straight to the two illustrations at the top left. And I just thought how lovely and how the kind of sketch detail of it, like the shading is so incredible, because it looks like it's just done with the same kind of nib or pencil. It's, you know, there's nothing kind of too extravagant in this. It's just the shading to the curves and the split tunnel. And the tube always makes me think of like a huge kind of tree above ground, and it's the roots below ground and that weave in and out of each other. So all of these diagrams have just been lovely. So thank you. I really enjoyed all of them.
Glorious, honestly, art and design and fabulousness and trains. Now here is where my question comes in, because the next line to arrive at King's Cross was the Piccadilly line as we know it now, originally called the Great Northern, Piccadilly and Brompton Railway, and that arrived in 1906. Team, Chris, Siddy, Great Northern, Piccadilly and Brompton. Was it called Great Northern because it stopped at King's Cross, where the Great Northern Railway left from?
Yeah.
It's an amalgamation.
Amalgamation. So there
Amalgamation of schemes.
Yeah.
Go on, Siddy.
So there were two, after the City and South London Railway became a success in the 1890s, there were loads and loads of schemes that kind of sprawled out of that success, trying to emulate what the City and South London had done. I think in the 1898 Parliament, there were over 200 different schemes in London alone being brought to Parliament for approval. So, you know, parts of London they wanted to go through. And two of the schemes were the Great Northern and Strand scheme, which was intended to alleviate pressure on the Great Northern Railway coming into King's Cross, hence the name. And the other was the Brompton and Piccadilly Railway. And so both of these got approved for their routes. So Great Northern was supposed to go down from kind of the suburbs of the Great Northern and into Aldwych. And the Brompton to Piccadilly was supposed to literally go from Brompton Road to Piccadilly Circus. And then they got amalgamated together and got known as the Great Northern Piccadilly and Brompton Railway. And they decided to extend it a little bit, so it ran from Hammersmith to Finsbury Park. And that's why also they always kept that little spurt down to Aldwych, because they needed to keep the original route, which had been approved by Parliament.
Love it. I would love a spurt to Aldwych.
I knew it. I absolutely knew he was going to do that. Branch.
And we're all glad today.
Oh, do you know what?
we?
Series 5, same old gags, don't worry. But it also, these amalgamated names, it also explains why the Bakerloo line is Baker Street to Waterloo, because it's an amalgamation of names. And I was always wondered, Great Northern, I wonder if it's because it stops at King's Cross. Thank you very much. Now then, while we're on the subject of the Piccadilly line, we decided to go behind closed doors and find out what was left. Now, all you got to think about here is this is pre-escalators. Escalators did not exist on the London Underground at this time. How did they get underground? They took lifts down to this railway. Roll VT. Do you know, I really like it when you say put gloves on, because it means we're going somewhere really cool and mucky and fabulous. So look, I've got my gloves on. I've got my American wet wipes again. I'm carrying this stuff around.
Are you excited to see if the American wet wipes are just going to blow the British ones out of the water?
Too right, yeah. Everything's better in America, isn't it?
Nah,
Yeah.
some things no.
Right, are you going first or shall I go first?
No, I'm going to go over your shoulder here. Okay.
Right, okay.
So, what do you think we have here, Mr. Brandon?
Right, so we're at the end of the southbound Piccadilly line effectively, aren't we? Well, this
Quite confusing. To be honest.
oh, look at this.
Now he sees.
Right, hold on. Can I do this?
You're going to be here some time.
You
right.
can take your mask off.
Let's try. Oh yeah, of course I can, of course I can. Sorry, I got very excited. The blue.
Straight in there.
The blue. Okay.
Now
and
these ones are very, very grimy.
Yeah,
so
you
you're
will
doing
find
good work. You will find
Better
cleaner ones, but I think you've done enough there, if you just move your hand away, to see a glimpse of the lovely blue that we have here.
So the layout of King's Cross was really quite strange for the Piccadilly line. because the platforms kind of had to come at odd ends in order to fit into the site. One platform is kind of like here, the other is there, instead of being side by side. So the passageways, so this one, for example, and the one we're about to go into, really long and odd.
And I
odd
think
shape.
we should get Alex to work out the rest of it in there, because we know, because I've pulled the diagram,
Yeah.
what the odd layout was. Let's see if you can work it out.
So just for everybody watching, we now know King's Cross to have escalators everywhere unless the station is high, got close to ground. In the original times, it had lifts, didn't it? There was a
It did.
set of lifts for the city in South London, a set of lifts for the Great Northern, Piccadilly and Brompton, and they were all separate.
And we're about to walk through one of the remains of a lift shaft
lift shaft,
now.
yeah.
So we're going to basically go through a lift shaft and over to the other side and see if you can work out what's going on in
It's a
there.
little bit tricksy.
Okay.
Right.
So through here, so this is ventilation equipment, right?
Yeah, this is all new ventilation equipment. And mind your head, you might just want to crouch a little. Should come under.
Listen to the noise of the trains and the fans and everything. See, this is what I love. This is what I love. So we're already back to the original time. This would be blue under here, would it?
That's right, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
and
blue.
don't worry, we'll see better.
Okay.
And so you would have been coming out of a lift here, or into a lift.
Wow, 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 wow. Okay.
So,
Okay. Look, but look at the tiles here as well. There's too much to take in. This is fabulous.
so yeah, you've got, over here, you've got obviously some original tyres, you've got a nice keystone pattern as well.
Yeah, up there.
Yeah.
So
You've
we've
got a
got
bit of cornicing there, and one of those kind of cartouche panels.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, we can see this. Can you get all that, Sid?
Yeah.
And then we've got more tiles here. And this is obviously passageways from lifts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lift there.
Yeah, that's right.
What's there? And
So
was
what
there-
about here, where we've got these magic portals? Should we go through?
They're very, very narrow. Unlike. Okay, unlike. Oh, hello. More tiles.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's one that I cleaned
Yeah, we
up about a
cleaned-
year ago.
Oh,
No,
nice.
3 years ago. It was the 4th of November.
I did come back.
Oh, did
I had
you?
to come back for a little special recce, so
So
I cleaned it again.
Cobalt blue.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
With that beautiful white tiles, so clearly the Piccadilly Dickley line. So what we're looking at, I guess what we're looking at here, you've got a lift centre, and then in these stations there was like a one-way system, wasn't there?
That's right.
But
So let me
these
ask you something.
portals-
Does that look original passenger?
why would they have
Passageway
cut
to you.
into
No.
the tile band?
So
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we watch while his brain melts.
the lift
As
was
ours did,
there.
in fairness, when we first came here.
Yeah. So
And this was always passageway. It was never a platform or anything like that.
this is
That's
always
right.
a passageway. Yeah.
So why did they dig a hole in it?
This is
So these are so close together. Now normally in those sort of Leslie Green stations, which I presume it was for the
It
Piccadilly
is,
line,
yeah. You've got the tiling to prove it.
you had quite a large rotation around a lift shaft, didn't you, to get entrance and exit in a
Yeah.
one-way system. Presumably this is the same, but it's so close together. And is that what Sid was saying about in terms of the small footprint of station? Is
Well
that what
done.
it is?
You've nailed it. That's why, in order to get this one-way system in, you have to have these passageways. I mean, look, actually
They're
only
right
about a
next to each
foot
other.
apart. And so, for ventilation purposes, they've cut into it now in order to let the air flow through here and to the northern line. So this is now a ventilation shaft.
But this used
it's
to be
just
a
incredible,
passageway.
isn't
Wait,
it?
but also, I mean, the complication of this, if you were digging this, right, surely if you were so close to this one, all this soil and muck would just fall in, wouldn't it? So close.
Yeah, the key thing here is, remember, these tunnels are supporting each other by being circular, so it's still transferring the load. Even though they're so close together, they're still pushing each other in. So that still
Yeah.
works in terms of keeping everything in compression and supporting what's above. But it does look incredibly fragile, doesn't it, really?
Well, I've got
But
a
it's
drill
not.
bit at home that would go through there.
Yeah, we won't do that.
No,
You
let's
haven't
not
got
do that.
work permit.
No, absolutely not. But
So over there, if I just take this back off City, we'll head towards the Northern Line vent.
so this essentially.
This is too good.
It's quite odd, but essentially the lift would have been there. You would have come around a corner and you would walk up through there to one of the platforms.
Right, so instead of going up to the platforms as we are now,
Yeah.
because they're out of use,
So-
they've dug down to the Northern Line for air.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And originally this would have carried on, and it was against the northbound. It's on the northbound side
Yeah.
of the station.
So
let's
very,
have a
very crude.
little
It's just
peer down.
dug
Just be
down.
careful.
Yeah.
You're all right with the light. Just keep it steady.
And
So-
right down there, you can see there. What are these? Are these pipes that they've dug round?
I think they're supporting beams.
Right,
They could be braces. Yeah. Yeah.
But down there is the running tracks for the Northern Line.
That it? Yeah.
Isn't it
that's
incredible that, I mean, I can see that from here. There's not actually that much difference between the Piccadilly and the Northern Line here,
No,
is there?
that's
That's remarkable.
yeah. I mean, there's only a few. Ooh, look! Poster fragments.
Oh, always a treat. Oh,
I mean,
that
you
is
can't
really
really-
fragmenty, isn't it?
Tell anything from this, but it was fun to see.
Can't see any Johnston.
No.
No. Come over here a minute, just because I'm interested in this. You know, we always talk about the marks. Sorry,
and then
marks
he
on the
breaks it.
wall. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
So
that's
would these have
because
not had?
No, but this is still the tile's still there. You see? This
how
is
cool is
still a
that?
bit of the tile.
The bit that's fallen off of my hands. That is incredible, isn't it?
Well, we give you gloves for this.
underneath that lovely bit of.
is the Chris's favourite
As
thing
we've said
in the
before,
world.
the tiles would rather split down the middle than let go with that keystoning on the back.
It's incredible. Can
Never
you
letting
imagine if you brought a pressure washer down here and
Oh my God,
the
that is
clean beauty of this?
genuinely my ultimate dream. Can we somehow make that happen? To get, one of those pressure washers, like, I think we would never be happier.
One of
It would
those-
like-
one-
just like, shh, oh.
I've got a horrible feeling that modern day pressure washers would just take the tiles off the wall.
No, you can set a different setting.
If you look here, it looks like the top ones have got a different keystone pattern to the next
Yeah.
ones down.
Now, can I just say something that I don't know how you feel about, but I'm not super keen on it. You know how often they say on the Underground, the dust that's under here and the sort of the grime, it's all things like, it's a lot
Human
of
hair,
well,
skin.
Well, that's people say that, but that's not
What is
the
it?
most of it. But then
What is it? Magic
some
dust?
parts of it are.
Oh Lord!
Ah!
Oh, there it is.
Oh my God!
I mean, that looks. Don't knock it up, Alex.
That is
Honestly,
a lot
I
of
can't
hair.
take him anywhere.
Too much fun, isn't it? Look.
And also your mask.
Oh, and look, there's your mask in the middle of it.
Oh, you're gonna go.
You see,
home
that'll-
with so much fun.
That'll
Who
teach
has
you.
hair that long?
I do.
Yeah, City for
They're
one.
yours.
But no, they're all black.
You could make
I
a wig
think
out
they
of
have brought horses down here. That's the only explanation.
I'm always in trouble. It was filthy down there. If there's dirt, I kick it. If there are hairs, I point them out and try and work out whose they are. It's just what I do. Laura, blue. That's all I'm going to say. Blue.
There was a really small strip of the was it mahogany or burgundy? I think they're the two colours that Chris used before. And I thought to myself, I wonder if that's like a really sneaky glimpse and there'll be more tiles later, and that's just kind of enticing us in. And then there they were. I mean, the colour is just out of this world, isn't it? I just think even through the dirt, I know that it was quite hard to clean off all of that dust. But what an exciting kind of midnight Prussian blue. Just phenomenal. Really loved it. And what was also gorgeous about that space is the mix of the tunnel and the portals, as you were calling them, and the curves and the straight, and what a lovely, unique, rare space. I don't think I've ever seen that in such a small kind of tight space before. So that's really special.
It was really difficult to try and work out, because I'd not seen the diagram. I know Chris and City are actually incredibly generous to me. They will always drop me a hint as to what it's all really about. But to try and work out how that circulation, that one-way system, and bearing in mind in tube stations generally, when they were built, there would be an entry and an exit side to the lifts to make sure that people weren't just bumping into each other all the time. But to try and work out how that circulation would work at King's Cross, the clue was when City said the station was in a very, very narrow footprint. And it really, really blew my mind. And the colour was gorgeous. And to explain it, Chris, you dug out from the museum archives the original Leslie Green plan of the Piccadilly line platforms and station, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. And you managed to do the same thing that City and I did when we first went to the space without having looked at the diagram first. We knew because we've talked about this before, that King's Cross was one of 4 stations that have the lifts in between the platforms, with the lifts going straight from the ticket hall down to platform level without any further stairs between them. What we didn't know is that this one was different to the other 3 that are like that. So York Road, Caledonian Road, and Earl's Court, the lifts really are kind of straight in between the platforms. Here, it's a staggered arrangement. And where we can see the platform at the top of that diagram and the lift shafts there, you can see that second passageway squeezed in between the lifts and the passageway to the platform.
I love these diagrams, honestly. And look at the top, guys. If you've never seen one of these before, we've shown them on our previous episodes, but look, GNP and BR, Great Northern, Piccadilly and Brompton Railway. So when it was opened up, that was the name they gave it. And it's all written by hand. Clever people with far better handwriting than me drew this sort of stuff. I adore it. Now that's the Piccadilly line bit. 1 year later, the Northern Line arrived under the guise of the City and South London Railway. And what we see of the Northern Line platforms now is beautiful. It's all those little lovely mosaic tiles and King's Cross and Pancras, all in beautiful, typical typeface. But what exists behind locked doors is really quite stunning, isn't it, Silly?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's surprising how much there is actually there, because I feel like it's a completely different version of what we've seen at other similar stations on the line.
Euston is the one. If you're interested in getting a bit of history about how the stations looked originally, check out our Euston episode. I think it was in series number 1.
Yeah.
And it will give you a clue. Laura, if you're a fan of tiles on the wall that are made of glass, you're going to love what you're about to see.
Oh, and Moorgate too. Moorgate.
Yes. So there's loads to go out here. Chris, take us into those cheeky caverns, because we want to see it, don't we?
I will do. And the cheeky caverns that we're going into are in the dotted lines of this diagram. If you look just below the lift shafts in this diagram, you can see that there's a set of dotted line tunnels below it, and that is the City and South London Railway.
I'd not even spotted that. That is absolutely sensational. So that map is of the 2 lines, how the stations marry up effectively. Crikey. All right, so here we go. So not escalators, they weren't anywhere near. This is the lifts and the spiral staircases down to the original City and South London Railway at King's Cross. I love the fact that already there's a little bit of data to show when we're filming this, because the Northern Line is only running south on the Bank branch to Moorgate at the moment because of all the work that's going on at Bank. But the really interesting thing, we're on the southbound platform of the Northern Line, aren't we, Siddles? And this door, I've walked past a million times probably, just a simple metal louvre door. And inside it is the original station dating back to, well,
1907. Yeah. So through here, you're about to see the remnants of the City and South London Railway.
This is incredible. 1907. So cast your minds back as we go through, because I've not seen this before either. This is the way we do this. And Siddles will... Oh my God. Look at the stairs, look at the tiles.
I know.
So signature City and South London stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
Glass.
The glass tiles, white and black banding. And as ever, if we look in close, we can see where the bitumen backing that was on the tile has let go of the tile, and underneath it, kind of a bit of sand that's blinded into that bitumen to try and key it into the cement.
And we've said this before, haven't we? How thin these glass tiles are.
Yeah.
And presumably these cuts are razor sharp, aren't they?
That is exactly the reason that we're wearing hats, because if one of those decided to give up and let go, don't look directly up because you don't want one in the eye. And if you look just over here, you see we've got poster remnants.
And what does it say here?
Kentish
It's
Town.
almost like it's calling you in for a
Kentish
future
Town.
Isn't
Isn't
it,
this
Alex?
incredible?
Yeah.
So when was this tunnel taken out of service? Because that
We
looks...
think in the 1920s, right?
Those letters
when
date back
when
to
it
the
all got
20s.
when it got expanded.
Because that's Johnston. So
Yeah, well,
when
1916.
when Johnston was brought in, and that would be...
Yeah.
And so this would be basically this down here towards Bank, down this way towards Kentish, Camden, Edgware, High Barnet.
High Barnet, yeah.
And
my goodness.
so you've got your classic barrel ceiling as well that we see in other places. You've also got surviving handrails, and down here on the floor you've got our old friend, the kind of the wooden blocks, which form an anti-slip surface. Even though they're covered in enormous amounts of grime, they're still doing their job.
Nixie, up here, look, we've got to go up here.
You want to go up there, do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, should we let him?
up here, Siddles, this is presumably, you go left and right, so up here would have been where the lifts were.
No.
No. This would lead off to the spiral stairs to take you up. We'll go to the lifts in a moment, but not just yet.
What's interesting, this has all been stripped pretty much of
Really
tile.
has. Just be careful of the bund there on the
Can you
floor.
imagine though, 1907, we are in exactly the same time. That just blows my mind, this. That we are in the same time as beautifully dressed men and women of
Edwardian
London.
Londoners.
Yeah,
We're not.
walking up and down here. No, we're not. We look like right.
Puffer jackets.
I just can't believe. And these tiles were put up when it opened. You know.
Yeah, and I did say, this is a heavily modified station. You can see there's just, cables over the top of it, new lighting, a real hodgepodge. And as you come around here and mind
Careful,
the floor,
Siddles.
you've got drainage, and you've even got a point here where it, at one time, was completely concreted up. And then at a later stage again, just mind the broken treads, a later stage again, if we can just put a light on
Do you want me this one? I've got the posh one. Does that help?
Yes, do it. You can see where they've cored through it.
Can you
With
see
a
that?
diamond drill. It's like a Hatton Garden Bank job, isn't
It's a
it?
heist.
And if we carry on through, just mind your head.
Can you get the detail here, Siddles? Look at the gritty old concrete they used. Look at the lumps of stone in there.
And here the tiles actually survive a lot better, don't they?
Days like
remember
this.
when we went to Kennington, we found some remnants of the city and south there?
Yes.
Those were ceramic with the fleur-de-lis pattern,
Yeah. The brown and the cream.
Yeah, but this is black. Well, actually, it is kind of brown.
Well,
Look
if
at
you
it.
ever see them off the wall, they're actually, in fact, you can just see it there. Can you see it? It's kind of translucent and it's almost a dark purplish colour,
Yeah.
which, when the light bounces off them, looks black.
Yeah, but essentially, all of the extension stations of the city in South London, so everything from Borough upwards, would have had the glass tiles rather than the ceramics, because the ceramic was the original line.
And the reason they chose glass was because of the reflection. It lights up places,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, you
And
can see
cheap.
this, can't you? You're bouncing the light off, and that's exactly what people described of the early stations, that they look quite brilliant despite the fact the lights were feeble.
But this is really cool.
Should we go to the lift then?
Yes, please. Let's take the lift.
Okay. Right, so we've come out onto the platform and we're now stood at the grill into the lift shaft. So let's have a look at what we got. You're going to need your torch.
Right, let me just turn this thing on. It's a faff, this machine. Oh,
There
here we go. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Right.
Oh look. Sid, that's daylight, right?
It is, but you're going to see it even better if you just get a glimpse of it up there. But actually, the place you want to be is through here.
It's through here. I'll leave the wet wipes there.
So you see that there's the top of the lift shaft, and then there's a whole structure on top of that. Do you see that?
It's all right. It's not too dusty, by the way, if you want to take your doodah off. So to give an idea of the geography of all of this, that exit there is on the concourse in front of King's Cross Station, right?
The forecourse, yes.
So that is where the original City and South London Station building would have been.
You are
with a
now
lift down.
underneath the original location of the City and South London Railway Station building.
So if I was a unit of metal, I could be a lift.
Yes. So if we do a little magic, if we on the count of 3, 2, 1, we can go to the surface. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, wow! Here we are. Oh, jeepers!
Oh, hang on a minute. I've not looked down.
Well, you know how I pointed out where the lift shaft ends and there was a whole structure on top of it?
Gee, it's good that you two are here. Blimey.
Oh Lord.
That is-
Okay.
You're all right.
Okay, everybody
Yeah, no,
at
I'm all
home.
right.
Here
That
we
is
go.
an
Here we
exceptional-
go.
You're going to light it. We've got the top.
That's
Oh, do you know, I might just stay
Wow.
holding on.
yeah. Are we getting that? Don't drop my torch. That's a long way down. In fact, all the way
Down
So
to the
this
north
is
line.
this is the old booking hall, effectively.
Well,
of the
no,
city
we're,
centre.
we're several stories
we're
above,
above.
that.
Yeah,
This is
we're
underground.
higher.
We're inside the egg.
You
Well,
can
we're on
see
top of the egg.
you can see ground level there. You see where you've got the top of the shaft.
Yeah,
Oh, that's it,
ground
is it?
level.
Yeah.
So, that's why it feels such a long way up.
Yeah, I must admit,
Well,
I wasn't
actually,
quite ready for that.
It's even higher than ground level because the lift shafts would have come up even higher. So the lift shaft would have gone higher than ground level.
The lift shaft, of course, because it was the ticket hall was below ground, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So what we have discovered is we're
what's over
really
there?
rather high.
Can we go over there? Can we
Higher
go
than Sean
off this?
Ryder, as they say.
Right. Okay.
So
I can't believe I feel more.
You're now stepped
Now
out
then.
onto the top of what's known as the egg, and what he's marvelling at, everyone.
Some
is
pancake.
that-
It's just. I mean, it is just my favourite station in London.
With
It's so
and you
glorious.
see that statue up there? That's Britannia.
Royal Britannia.
And do you know what? I really, 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 really want a zig-a-zig-ar.
Oh, me too. If you
Dear.
want to be
Shall
my
we?
lover,
Shall we?
gotta get with my friends.
Honestly,
I love the
can't
fact
take
there's a
them
staircase in that building that was the wannabe.
Yeah. Have
set.
you? I don't know about you. I've definitely done the pose with the
So
leg
have I.
over the banister
So have I.
rail. Sidi, have you had the joy?
No.
Oh, we need to go there.
I actually arranged for a friend of
That's
mine
for
to
the
have his
hangout.
wedding photos taken on the same staircase.
Yeah, it was a wedding I went to
Yeah,
there as well,
it's
and
great.
the bridal party did indeed do the pose.
Right,
This
should
is all
we-
good. So this is the egg.
This is the egg.
We're well above what. Oh, look, and you can actually when you look down there, you can actually see where the punters are. So we are well above
Yep.
ground, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Do you know, I have to say, I'm ever so glad you're there because when I look down,
You
it's
had
all
a-
very well doing clicky magic, but you know,
You
I
had a
look
bit
down.
of a moment, didn't you?
Yeah.
The other thing, everybody at home, if Alex, if you just come back into shot,
Yes.
and could you just look that way
What?
and come in close?
No.
He's got his first grime of the year, everyone. He's got his
Awful
stripes,
shot this
literally.
is going to be.
It looks like.
Haggard old man now.
To be fair,
Have I got a total
no, actually
camo
you're
You look
print
alright.
as
all
well?
right. You look all
Hey!
right.
So
You
there we
look all
go.
right.
Our first tunnel grub of the year. What do we think?
Amazing station. Serious Spire is
Very
going to be so cool.
Yep.
So cool.
And now, back to the studio.
Haggard's Old Man is my new Instagram title. It really is. But what an amazing job. Form an orderly queue when none of us are wanting to give up our jobs. We love it on your behalf. Laura, first of all, the white glass tiles, how shiny were they? They do their job, don't they? Reflecting the light.
They totally do. And I can't lie, guys, little bit of site visit envy going on here. I mean, there's a lot to go at in those clips. They were pretty cool. But Alex, I think you made a reference when you were stood in the stairwell part of that first clip. Maybe it was the second clip. I forget, I'm too excited. And you'd walked through the black and the white glass tile and you were in the stairwell bit and you made a reference to the, I guess, Edwardian fashion kind of dressed people. And it just made me think of that kind of era. And as fashion progressed towards kind of World War One, and fashion became very simplistic and much more kind of structured and uniform. And it just made me think that tunnel was kind of, that reflected it in a way, that kind of quite the lovely monochrome and just the strips of tiles, the black and white. And I just wondered if there's any link between that, but that's where my brain went with it. But that was a really lovely bit. And are you both scared of heights, by the way? Never knew this. Or did I?
Yeah, well, I'm scared of my own shadow. So it's Chris and Siddy. In fact, Siddy, what tends to happen on these trips is Siddy will go like, she's all guns and ammo. It's like, get me up there. Yeah, let's go and use a ladder. And Chris looks at me and goes, you want to use a ladder? Not sure.
Oh, but also,
I don't mind heights, but God, you do climbing and all sorts. But there's something about walking out over a grill where you can see past your own feet. That's the bit that makes me go, huh?
And I
Yeah,
swear as
I
well,
get
and the other
get
thing
that.
I would say, by the way, and there's been many questions about the way we shoot these. I absolutely swear that when I go into a room, the reaction I give is real, because Chris goes in first and sets a camera up to catch my reaction. I've not seen it, I've not glanced at it, it's not prepared, it's absolutely real.
Yeah.
When we went out onto the top of that lift shaft, obviously with our clicky hands, because obviously we can fly, the craziness was I was the only one who hadn't looked down, and I'm the one who's probably the most scared of heights. And Chris just went, Step out, be brave, I'm here. I'm thinking, Chris, stay there, don't move. And I looked down, and it was Chris's reaction that made me think, oh my God, how high is this? If Chris is a bit freaked out by this, what am I going to be like? Thank God you're all with me. Thank God, Siddles. Thank God, Chris. Thank God you were both with me.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I feel like I've become desensitized to it. I don't mind it at all.
Oh, you're just fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And Chris is my guardian angel anyway. It's brilliant. Now,
Alex, just quickly, before I forget, I was thinking that you had a bit of a tooting moment with the poster and you went, Kentish Town.
True. And more on that in notes, queries and questions. Now, we've then gone past, in our timeline, we've now gone past 1968 when the Victoria line arrived. And in 1987, there was a devastating fire at King's Cross. I can remember as a kid watching it on the TV thinking, my lovely underground, what is happening? It actually, Chris, was the springboard to an enormous number of safety changes, wasn't it? That then affected the entire network and made it an entirely safer place to be.
It was. The fire was an awful tragedy, and lost a great many lives in it. The thing with the underground is it does learn from its mistakes, and the inquiry that followed the fire set out to understand how it had happened and to make sure that it didn't happen again. Now, back in the day of the fire, escalators on the underground still had wooden paneling and wooden treads, and it only took grease in the motor rooms mixed with fluff and a stray cigarette for that to light and form a flashover fire that burst out into the escalators of the Piccadilly line. That's what we're looking at here on this model. This model was constructed for the King's Cross Fire Inquiry and is in the museum collection, and it was there to help the panel understand how the fire could break out in the way that it did. Now, the result of this was really quite profound on the underground, particularly in the choice of materials that could be used on the underground. And so that one tragic event actually did more probably to shape the look of the underground since 1987 than most other things, because the very simple decision was that things that burnt didn't belong on the underground. So that's why we have lots of metal panels, steel, glass, concrete, stone used today in the modern underground, and a good thing too, makes it a great deal safer.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you want to find out more, do your own research. It's all on the internet, but we like to bring cheer, and but we needed to mention it. Chris, you've got some really lovely artwork, haven't you? Posters, and we do love a bit of poster art in each of our episodes, and some of it really pertinent to King's Cross, wasn't it?
There's a couple of really nice posters, and we've talked a lot about how this station was developed over many years. So it's small surprise then that the posters relate to the fact that this station had many changing faces. So here we go. Here's one from 1939 with new entrances appearing.
What do you think, Law? Straightforward, but nice and neat. Does what it says.
It is, and doesn't the blue look like the blue of the tiles as well? Like the same kind of colour. But I love new entrance, new entrance. It's definitely gone through some upgrades.
Ready for you, June 18. I love that there's not really any sort of ancillary words on these posters, is there? Really just what it is. And don't forget St Pancras in brackets. So seen as a kind of a secondary add-on, I guess.
Yeah, that change came in the 30s. It was originally, I think it was King's Cross, then King's Cross for St Pancras, and then King's Cross St Pancras.
One more.
This one's from 1945, and I really like this. Look at the roundel. It's got King's Cross, not King X, which is what a lot of people abbreviate it to. When people abbreviate it today, it's actually King's Chris, not a King's Cross that people will do.
That's so true. What do you think, Law? You love your posters, nice red border, King's.
I do. I'm just trying to zoom in now to have like a little bit of a.
It's gorgeous though, right?
It is. It's lovely. But I also think that because it says Kings and then it's the plus, it makes you think Kings plus, like as in and.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like your brain kind of makes that connection.
But I love the fact that Chris would spot it's a Chris, not a cross. Only Chris would do that. I absolutely love it. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, as always, team. The most beautiful trip around that station, and I hope you'll agree, a wonderful start to series number 5 of the Hidden London Hangouts. We never imagined that we'd be here this long. We're so delighted. And my goodness, next week's is another cracker. And the week after that is another brilliant episode. As always, notes, queries and questions, your comments and suggestions about the episodes. We go back to Angel. There are hundreds of comments about that episode, which are down underneath the video. And what I love about it is they're all evocations of your memories of that station, which is what it's all about for us. I'm going to read out one other comment, which came in over Christmas. It's from a lady called Charlotte. And she said, "Hi, Alex. My hubby and I are catching up with Hidden London Hangouts after discovering you on Siddy's TV show. Series 2 on the way. We love it and are now on series 3 of your Hangouts, episode number 6. Over Christmas, we kept saying, 'Anybody?' one of our slogans, and laughing at, and our kids had no idea what we were laughing about. They're 21 and 17, and during board games, they even started saying, 'Anybody?' Especially during their game Newmarket, which I believe is a card game, where you ask the next card in a suit. It was hilarious. And now, in addition to the Hornsby household, we've even been known to shout, 'Tooting!' like kids at the time. At unexpected times as well. Love you all, and we can't wait to add some maquette to the sofa to add to our rounder that was under our tree at Christmas. London Transport Museum shop in Covent Garden has got the most amazing array of cushions right now. Every time I go in there, I just lust after all of them. That's all I'm going to do, because we've had such an epic episode this time. Loads of stuff coming in there. Laura Hilton Brown, thank you for coming back for series 5, but also just being brilliant.
I genuinely didn't know there was that much going on down there, guys. So thank you for revealing that. That was genuinely exciting. It's much more pieced together in my mind now. So that was super duper. I do have one question for Siddles. There was a green sign, the Brompton Road one, and do I remember you saying maybe from a moquette episode that olive green was one of your favourite colours, or have I made that up? So my question is, have we convinced you yet that that signage would look awesome because it's your favourite colour as well in your flat?
Oh, I mean, it would look awesome, especially as it's an original and would be worth a lot of money. So,
she's gone straight for finances.
I love it.
But yes, anything that's green. I mean, I'm kind of going, this yellow chair. I like having bright colours around. I feel like it brightens up the space. So yeah, I would take that one into the house, Laura.
And you just look great in that chair, Siddy. Thank you so much for everything this episode as well. Always good to go romping around in the dirt with you. It's always good fun.
I love a good romp with you, babes. It's don't you like it? It's nice. It sort of makes me feel like I'm on a reality TV show, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
In the Hidden London house.
Yeah, in the Hidden London house. And Chris Nix, as always, thank you for being you. You're brilliant.
Well, thank you. It's been an absolute treat. Lovely to be back. Lovely to be chatting with you guys. And can't wait to be back there doing it again next week.
You found us on YouTube. Thank you so much. Like, comment and subscribe down below. Tell us what you like, where you want us to go next, etc., etc. And download Instagram and find us, Chris Nix, Siddy Holloway, Hidden London Law, at LT Museum, and me, Alex Grunden. We'll be back next week with Series 5, Episode 2 in another splendid location. And maybe we won't need the rubber gloves. There's a clue for you. Have yourself a great day and stay safe.